that works for you. Good morning, Meir Schneider.
Good morning. This is pretty early in San Francisco. It still is dark, you know.
Well, we particularly appreciate your commitment to WPFW. You've been our friend for a very long time, and we rely on you to help us navigate this very difficult and shark-infested world of viruses and diseases, and to help us understand how we can stay healthy through it all. So, Meir, the mask mandates are back throughout the country. Last year, we were introduced to the Delta variant. This year, we're learning more about the Omicron variant. I think everyone is wondering, what can we do to protect ourselves against these potentially harmful viruses?
So I would like to suggest a couple of things. Number one, when people get vaccinated, I took the Johnson & Johnson, the big thing is to be very rested after you get the vaccine, not to move about. I remember that they told me there's lunch break in the clinic, you have to leave the clinic. So I went and sat on the bench and did my sunning exercises and relaxed a lot. That really reduces the allergic response to the vaccine, so it becomes a bit easier to endure. And that is very important, especially if somebody is senior, to have a lot of rest after you get vaccinated, at least for a day or two. Now, talking about how we continue with that, you know, our immune system is very compromised. And I'm not talking about people who only suffer from compromised immune system and were diagnosed by that. I think modern people have a compromised immune system, whether they like it or not. And the reason is the huge stress that we have in life. We used to have short-term stress when we meet a hostile animal or in the past a hostile tribe. Right now, there is a lot of level of tension in life. Death in family, for example. And I'm very sorry for what some of my good friends have passed through lately. Another example is lawsuits, stresses, business stress, economical stress. That leads to a situation where basically our nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, gets frozen. And there's no better time than now for people to have my book that I'm donating to your station, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. In that book, one of the things that I'm suggesting is to build up stress within the body by contracting the sphincter muscles, the ones that affect the bladder, the ones that affect our mouth, the ones that affect other places of the body. Contract and then let go. I have a very systematic way in which you do it. And those are the muscles that have to do with emergency. They contract when we have emergency. So you contract, so you will mimic emergency and then let go. Because the opposite is happening to the modern person. We have long-term tension. We don't have short-term tension. And for something like 2 million years, our ancestors had short-term tension, and the rest of the time, they basically relaxed. That is not happening to us right now. And that's why so many people have high blood pressure, so many people have other problems. So if we are able to reduce our tension that way, and we can do work for about 10 minutes a day for a few weeks, we would then be able to activate our immune system the way that it will help fight all viruses much, much better. So while taking the vaccine, I have a feeling that next year more people will take the vaccine because some people really believe in Novavax, which I hope will be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. I think that we need to go way beyond vaccination, and that is to use the internal forces of the body.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing which is important for us is everything that everybody's saying. For example, distance when we walk in parks or when we walk in the street to make sure that we don't get infected by anyone. But the most important thing is to strengthen the immune system right now. The other thing is, what I'm seeing that happened during the lockdown is obesity have grown,
Mm-hmm.
alcohol consumption have grown, but people became very stiff. Another reason for my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, and the workshop that you took, actually, that we made it available online right now, that we also donate to the station. That is, we need to work on our vertebrae, we need to work on our back, we need to unstiffen ourselves, and to be aware of the fact that most of the muscles of the body are dormant. Even with the strongest people who lift weights and who are strong, they become dormant. We have to learn to work with muscles we have never worked before, because what happens is we have too much pressure on fewer muscles and less activity with muscles we have never used. For example, our toe muscles. How many people can really isolate their toes and work them independently? For example, the side muscles of the legs. We sit all day, we freeze them, and before you know, they become pretty weak. So we put a lot of pressure on our joints. So many people have arthritis and back problems that could be resolved. Now, another thing that happened during this terrible lockdown, and is happening now again, is incredible increase of nearsightedness, myopia.
Yes, right.
People never looked as much as they're looking now at computers. You're doing this show with Zoom. People already had a big problem before the pandemic because of the incredible use of smartphones. You can always see people walking on the sidewalk, looking at their phone and not knowing there's anyone around, and blocking their periphery, not looking at the distance. In the past, we used to look at distances. We used to pay attention to the periphery. So, for example, I met a bunch of kids that lost a lot of acuity. Like, I'm working with one lovely girl. She's 9-year-old, but when she was 7, she saw better than 20/20. When I met her 6 months ago, all she saw was 2100. Her parents did not want her to wear glasses. So now we improved the vision to 20/30, and we're on our way to get 20/20, and she never needs glasses.
So I'm sorry, you're using a lot of numbers that I don't think I understand. So,
okay.
So when you first met her, she was 20/20, and now she's 20. What is it?
She used to see 100% of what's considered to be normal vision.
Okay.
Then it was reduced to 40%. And the doctors would always say, wear glasses. Well, we improve it now to 90%, and we are on our way to get it to 100%.
Now, how did you do that, Meir?
We got her to look at a distance a lot, to play outside a lot, because many kids ended up being indoors a lot. That is really bad, because then you don't look at distances. Your lens needs that. We got her to adapt to the sun, and the sunning exercise is one where you close your eyes and you move your head from side to side. When you face the sun, the pupils constrict. When you move away, they expand. And I know that many people are against it, but this is really a good exercise. We got her to really rest her eyes to palm, which is an exercise where you rub your hands, and then you put your hands over the eye orbits, and you breathe deeply, you visualize the dark color. But we did much more than that. We got her to use the eyes together, because when you stress your eyes, one overworks and one underworks. So we used her peripheral vision, where the two eyes were more equal, with many exercises where she waved her hands to the side and then lights to the side. And then we worked with her central vision. We did all kinds of exercises where she used both of the eyes together. We have red and green glasses we work with. And all that I describe in my seminar, which you right now are going to sell to people, and in the book.
Right.
And all that we're going to show in the 6-day class that we're going to have on February from the 10th to the 15th in San Francisco. And I hope to see some people of WPFW coming to us, even though we're 3,000 miles away, but we are by the beach, exactly in the most healing environment there is. And we will work a lot outdoors. And we lead to a lot of changes. One of our exercises is to put a paper from the forehead to the chin and throw a ball from hand to hand above the head and get the eyes moving. Mm-hmm. So the freezing, the indoors, the looking at the near and to looking at the computer is one of the worst things we can do. So we need to take many rests. We need to look at the distance many times. Look out of your window. Go outdoors. Wave your hands to the side. Let your eyes relax from what you always are doing, and you'll benefit.
Well, I just want to say that our listeners, that this is already so much information, and we're only 15 minutes into the program. And as someone who is a devotee of this method, I can tell you that it works. That, at one point, doctors were talking about surgery and all kinds of fancy techniques on my eyes. And I went to San Francisco and 5-10 years later, I haven't had to do any of those interventions. And so this is very powerful information that you are learning this morning. And you can receive this information through Meir Schneider's groundbreaking work called Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. This is a book that's over 500 pages long. It is a very thick, very important piece of work. And you can receive this for an $80 donation to WPFW. And also you can get 4 complimentary videos, which will help you explain what you've read in Awakening for only $65, or a combination of both of these for $145. For me, this is a holiday gift for yourself. This is how you treat yourself to good health and to long life, and also for your family, because now our children are being impacted by the video games and looking at the computer all day long. And not getting outside and playing like we used to when we were children, but instead they're sort of focused on these, on computers or smartphones. So this is a very important gift for not only yourself, but also your family. So I would ask everyone, please, 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 just like Thomas did a few minutes ago, please go to 202-588-9739. That's 202-588-9739, or you can go to 1-800-222-9739. It's 1-800-222-9739, or you can go to the web at WPFWFM.org. Thomas, what are you thinking after listening to all this incredible information?
Great. It's definitely informative and practical. Things that people can do once they learn how to do them. And that's what I really appreciate.
Right.
The other thing, I'm following back up right now on my contribution. They offered a disc, and for the small contributions that I did, they offered a $50 disc. And that's a good introduction.
It's good. And the disc and the video that we're calling, it follows the book.
Right.
So you can read the book, and then you can also listen to the video, and the video really brings alive the book. So it's a very important complement to the book. Like I said, the book is over 500 pages long, which is daunting. But
you tell us more about San Francisco.
Sure. Meir, do you want to talk a little bit about San Francisco and what?
Yeah, the campus. We have opportunity to go there soon.
Yes.
Yeah. What we got a special permit to be in a residential area by the beach of San Francisco. And a lot of the work that we do with vision is at the beach. People look at the waves, at the mountains, and they do it for 6 days in a row. And they sit down in our nice, spacious facilities, and they do a lot of relaxation and new ways to work with the eyes, learning to look at details. You know, I want to tell you something. I just met somebody who got a loss of vision. They want to do with their major surgeries, and she refuses. And the reason for all of that is the development of her nearsightedness. Often, nearsightedness develops beyond one's control. And I think that we should control our nearsightedness, reduce it, and eventually eliminate it. And I think that we should control our farsightedness, and I think we can eliminate it. And the problem that we have is that most people don't believe in their own power to do that, and they really do. All they have to do is learn the right exercise. So here in San Francisco, by the beach, and we are just a block from the beach in our school, and with our wonderful facilities in our backyard with the trampoline, we're able to teach people new skills. For example, most people don't know which eye of theirs is weak, and we find it out for them, help them to strengthen it, help them to use both eyes together. But I want to tell you one more thing, which is very interesting. It was once in the papers that a lady went to an ophthalmologist, and that ophthalmologist had an instinct. Most of them don't, but he had an instinct. And she brought her daughter, a 15-year-old, and she said she needs glasses. She can't see the board anymore. The ophthalmologist asked her, how much is she playing outside? And she said, no, she sits in front of the computer all day long. Today, you're looking at your phone all day long. And that was a few years ago. And the ophthalmologist said, you cannot do that. She has to play outdoors. Never let her sit in front of the computer more than half an hour. Well, she went and played outdoors at the urging of the doctor and the request of her mother. She came back in 2 months, and glasses were not needed.
Wow.
This is something that we need to understand. Our habits include not blinking as much, not breathing as much, not loosening our body as much as we could, and that eventually leads to quite a few problems that we cannot expect in advance. And while doing exercises the way that I'm talking about it, using muscles we never used before, using parts of our visual system we didn't think about, like the periphery, like distance vision, adapting to light instead of escaping light, what eventually can end up happening is that we become more alive, happier, and with better capacity, and by the way, with better immune system.
Well, you know, I just want to talk a little bit about what's inside your book, because as I said to you, this is a go-to book for me. Whenever I get an ache or a pain or I can't see as well, first thing I do is I go to your book and I go to the index and I look up, because this is a book that not only deals with eye care, but it deals with the spine and it deals with circulation and muscles. And so in Meir's book, Awakening, which you can receive today for a contribution, they're very practical suggestions for daily use.
Marsha, we do have a contribution from Anonymous in Burtonsville.
Oh, wonderful.
They match mine with the $50 contribution.
Oh,
very much appreciated. So we're talking two kinds of money here. The money to WPFW, the lifeline that we need from our constituents. But also, as Dr. Meir talked about, the San Francisco treatment, I'm focused on that because I have 3 kids and 5 grandkids. Money is an issue. Can he talk about money? Can he talk about what the costs are? He can't say that. He can't. Okay. Well,
but the thing is that Meir can talk about right now is what's inside his book.
Right.
For example, he's now giving us tips to overcome. For example, nearsightedness. When I was growing up, I was taught I was told, if you're nearsighted, just get a pair of glasses, right? If you're farsighted, just get a pair of glasses. But Meir is saying, no, we don't have to limit ourselves to just getting a pair of glasses. We can actually strengthen our eyes so that we don't need glasses. So inside of Meir's book, he talks about vision problems. He talks about back problems. He talks about joint problems. And you don't necessarily always think about joint problems and vision problems in the same breath, but Meir does. And he'll also teach you in this book how to breathe, something that we take for granted. What are the ways that we breathe that really help improve our circulation and prevent back problems. And also he'll talk about neurological problems and overcoming these kinds of problems. So Meir, first of all, we thank you again for offering this incredible work. And we want our listeners to know that you can also have access to this book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. As I said before, it's over 500 pages long for $80. And you can also receive 4 complimentary videos for $65. Or you can get both of these presents, these gifts, for only $145. Now, that is an incredible holiday gift for not only yourself, but also your family. So we're asking everyone. I know you love this segment of What's at Stake because we're always blowing the whistle on corruption in government and we're taking on the powers that be. But before we can do that, before we can fight the good fight, we have to be healthy. We have to be healthy. In order to be freedom fighters, we first have to be healthy. So I'm asking everyone to go to the phone and call 202-588-9739. That's 202-588-9739. Or you can call 800-222-9739. That's 800-222-9739. Or you can go to our web.
And Marsha, we want to thank Stacy for her $180 contribution.
Thank you.
And Anonymous in Washington, D.C. for $150 contribution.
Wow.
People are coming in, waking up this morning and coming on board. Yeah,
because this is power. This is power. When I was in the movement as a young woman, one of the first things I realized fairly early on is that people had really poor eating habits. We didn't get enough sleep. We didn't do the things we needed to do to be healthy freedom fighters. And one of the things that we understand now is that if we're really about working to stop the ravages of white supremacy, if we're really about working to improve society, first we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. And Meir Schneider is helping us learn how we can take care of ourselves so that we can create a better society for our children and our community. So Meir, this is a handbook that is important as any other handbook that we use to understand how to change society. I have a question, Meir, about how to build immunity, because it seems to me when we hear these issues about the fact that people are still contracting various viruses, even though they have the vaccine, even though they've been vaccinated against these viruses. I think I understand from your teachings about, how we need to build our immune system. So Meir, could you talk about building an immune system so that we don't contract these diseases?
Yeah, I think it's very important. And before I do that, I just want to say one important thing. We talked about joints and eyes. I think that most blinding conditions are a result of poor blood flow to the visual system. Uh-huh. And that happens often with stiff neck. So if you loosen up your neck, then you have much more blood into the eyes, into the optic nerve, and into the brain. You have much less possibility to get glaucoma, retinal problems like neovascularization, bleeding macular degeneration and others, which I think is very important. But I'll return to the immune right now. The important thing for us is to understand that our immune system is very powerful. Mm-hmm. And the moment that we are very stressed, give it a stressor and it will attack us instead of the pathogen. And so we need to reduce the tendency for the stress that modern people have these days. Talked about all those issues that you're fighting for. Well, often it leads to tremendous long-term stress because this is a long-term fight. But it's not only that. Tension in the family, tension in business, tension in the economy. All that leads to long-term tension that humanity, as such, all 7 billion of us, are not used to. Didn't have that in the far past. So what we need is to learn to relax. But you cannot relax. The tension is deeply in you. So one of the things that we need to do is to build up physically the tendency of the stress all the way and then let it drop. Another thing that we need is to improve the function of our lymph and let it flow much easier. One of the things that kids have that grown-ups don't have is a very developed thymus gland.
What is that?
And I would recommend it. It's in the chest, and it produces lymph and T cells that are very known. What we need is to get a bunger ball, one that has a loose handle, and tap on our chest, or with our hands, tap on our chest, and slowly influence the thymus activity. We also want to massage our whole body, and always towards the heart, to bring in more circulation and more refreshing way of letting the immune system work. And we need to also breathe deeply. The palming meditation for the eyes is a very relaxing meditation, and find moments that you're relaxed, that you listen to music, and that you're out of your own thoughts. And that always helps, because our thoughts sometimes are going nowhere, and sometimes they create a lot of tension. So movement, inner massage, activating our inner tension and relaxing from that tension leads to huge changes within our body. And I can tell you, people feel completely renewed after just about 20 minutes or half an hour of practice of doing the work that I'm suggesting.
Meir, what time should we go to bed at night? I mean, assuming that we go to work from 9 to 5, is there a time that we should just begin to, allow our bodies to relax and go into the state that you're talking about? Because it seems to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're saying exactly the right thing. We should sleep with nature, and we don't do that. That's the truth. In the winter, like now, we yesterday had the shortest day here. With basically nature tells us to sleep longer hours in the winter and shorter hours in the summer. And I think that sleep could be as long as 9 hours, as short as 5 hours, and basically 7 hours to 8 hours on the average. And most people don't do that. Most people go to sleep at midnight. And I learned that back east, even more so than in the West Coast, they just don't go to sleep early enough. They sit in front of the computer, and so the eyes are well awake as if they are in the daytime. And that is hard on the pituitary gland because, we should see blue skies, not blue screens. We should see blue sky in the daytime. Then blue screens don't bother us as much, but blue screens at night give the body the impression you're in the daytime, falling asleep out of great fatigue of overusing yourself, or falling asleep very poorly is what happening as a result of being awake for too long. So we need to really sleep with nature. The problem is our lifestyle doesn't allow us to do it. If you have a class online at 6 in the evening, you'll be awake at 6 in the evening. And I think we should arrange for ourselves a situation where we go to sleep early, especially in the winter, and wake up late. Then the body becomes much healthier.
Yeah, this is the kind of information that I know that most of us do not know, because if we knew it, we would respond to that. So I'm just asking everyone, you really do need this information. It is life changing. So please go to the phone and call 202-588-9739 or 800-222-9739, or go to the web, WPFWFM.org, and make a contribution to your radio station. This is your radio station. WPFW is not a for-profit radio station. We are a community radio station. We care about what is happening in our community and not what's happening in the boardrooms. So we need to have you go to your phones, and in exchange, Meir has so graciously donated his groundbreaking work, Awakening Your Power, not their power, your power of self-healing, and 4 videos that are based on this book. So we're asking everyone to come out and support WPFW.
Marsha, I want to thank Anonymous from Bethesda for $100.
Thank you so much.
Joan from Tacoma for $50. Anonymous from Washington, D.C. for $50. Anonymous from Silver Spring for $80. And one more, 110.
Wow.
From Charles in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Here comes Kenneth. He's breaking the bank with $145.
Woo! Thank you so much. This is why I get up in the morning and I do this show, because I know that you really love this segment of what's at stake. And we love bringing it to you because we know that this is the kind of information that will make our community healthy. And when we're healthy, that means we can fight. We can fight the important issues for the important issues that we need to fight for. So thank you so much. There are a couple of other issues that I just have to get to because I think we've already made. There are a couple of other issues that we have to get to before we to let Meir go. This is just a personal issue that I want to know. Meir, after taking the vaccine and booster shot, what is the relationship between poor eyesight? I think you've talked about it a little bit. And something that we do every single day, which is what I'm doing right now, is using my computer. We need computers. We need all these gadgets that we've come to rely on. So how do we negotiate this wonderful technology that we have, at the same time protect one of the most important organs of our bodies, which are the eyes? How do we do that, Meir?
Well, we have to respond to the computer in 2 ways. First of all, the easy thing that we need to do is every 20 minutes to stand up for about 20 seconds, stretch and look up at the ceiling, grab our leg, grab our ankle, and pull it backwards. So we arch our back, relax from sitting. That sitting is very hard for the back. We have muscles in the back that are basically designated for sitting. They're called the paraspinalis. And sitting for a long time hardens them and deprives our whole body from enough circulation. That includes the visual system and causes back problems. The second thing we need to do is look out of the window every half an hour for for as much as 4 minutes. Wave our hands to the side so we notice our periphery, because you don't look at your periphery, you see your periphery, and you see it mainly through movement. Mm-hmm. Meant to protect you, like in the jungle, that you have a sense if there's movement to the side. And it's very important to use the periphery. And then look for 4 minutes at the distance. Look at like 8 different points. Then close one eye, especially the strong eye, and look at the distance. And then the other eye. And then look a bit closer. But let the muscles of the lens relax from looking so much at the computer. And if you wear glasses, take them off. And even if it's fuzzy, look at the distance. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, once in a while, you can put a small piece of paper. You can put a scotch tape or masking tape, put it straight between your eyes, wave your hands to the side, so you become aware of all the periphery that you don't pay attention to. Because as you look at the computer, give it 15, 20 minutes. Before you know, there is no floor, there are no walls, there is no ceiling. If you don't pay attention to your periphery, you lose your periphery. And many people do. So stop straining your central vision. And one more thing, blink, and blink. People stop blinking when they look at the computer or the smartphone. Blink and don't do it forcefully. Do it very, very gently. So those are a few very easy tips to do and follow. That's why you should have my book, so you have all those notes in front of you. And if anyone wants to ask us questions, you can call to our school at 415-665-9574, and we can talk to you about all this.
And also, Meir, could you just give that number again one more time?
415.
The number for your school.
Yes, 415-665-9574.
Right. Thank you. I mean, it's an amazing, for me, this is an amazing conversation, and we have maybe 30 seconds left, but you've got to address the issue of high and low blood pressure. Is there something very quickly is there something that we can do in our everyday?
Absolutely. So high blood pressure is very prevalent. And what we should do is an exercise I show in my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, of throwing your arms up all the way in the air and the opposite leg. So you lift the right arm, the left leg, the left arm, the right leg for about 200 times every day, all the way up. And I've seen blood pressure reduced after doing that exercise. And the important thing about high blood pressure is do watch your diet, please, as much as you can. Reduce your coffee, reduce your intake of salt, reduce your intake of sugar. I mean, still have some taste of life, but reduce all those things. That's very, very important. And in terms of low blood pressure, palming is such a good exercise for it. And walking sometimes in the cold can help it very much. So those things can really help the blood pressure, and I think it's very important to work on them, and especially the high blood pressure. It leads to heart attacks. That's what makes you vulnerable quite a bit to a situation of being attacked by corona or by a major cold or flu. It can really kill you if you don't take care of those chronic situations all the time. So it's important that we take care of ourselves. I believe in health care, not in sick care.
Yes.
So you take care of yourself so you are healthy, not just, I mean, of course I work with the sick. I've helped many people to reduce their dependency on the wheelchair or get out of it. But I believe, first of all, work on what's strong in you.
Yes.
Long before you could be sick, and you will live longer, and you will live much, much better.
Thank you. We are talking to Dr. Meir Schneider, president and founder of the School for Self-Healing. And we're asking you to please call 202-588-9739 or 800-222-9739 or go to our website at wpfwfm.org. Meir, this is, as usual, such an honor and such a pleasure to talk with you. I've learned so much from you this morning, and particularly the blood pressure exercise. I had not heard that one before, and I will start working on that this morning. So again, thank you so much, Meir, for coming on today. And we'll be in touch again, and I'd love to have you back as soon as possible. So thank you so much, Meir.
I always like talking to you, and you have a wonderful other guest, which is wonderful. So I'll talk to you soon, huh?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you.